Hey people, this is the Broken Puppet, back again with another video for today. This one is how to draw an oriental style samurai. Well, samurai's oriental, so yeah, but yeah, how to draw a samurai. And it's the old traditional kind of painting style, you know, so it's kind of old school, but of course it's my work, so it's got a bit of my style mixed in with it. And I'm sure you like it. I'll talk you through the works as usual, line work, shading, yada yada yada. Sure you enjoy it, so yeah, enjoy. And that, let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Right, people, how to draw a samurai, oriental style. Now remember, this isn't exactly the old traditional style, you know, it's pretty much my version of that. And that, like a lot of the old kind of fashion rules I kind of stick to, I tend to not stick to. I don't like to restrict myself in certain ways, but anyway. Right, first off, you need to plot out a basic idea of how you want the body to go. And now with my kind of samurais, you tend to have like sort of normal size head. You want a fairly kind of roundish kind of body shape, and then a quite fanned out kind of leg base. And that because the kind of bottoms they wear generally, you know, sort of like, you know, come out quite baggy, you know, in my kind of style. But yeah, so for this one I'm gonna say, yeah, if we say like I'm just gonna do a circle here. Just basic, and that little line down the middle bit, because I'm looking this way, and so you want to kind of cross the kind of point that way. And I don't know why he's looking this way, but he's looking this way. And that, right. I'm going to do two circle bits. I'm going to do one here, another one here. Now this is his shoulders. Now you just remember you want the shoulders a little bit lower than the head, you know, and come just a bit above the chin. Depending on how the back is arched. Now once you've done that, you want to kind of do a curved line, just join them up, so you get a bit of an idea how the back bends with the elbow, with the shoulders rather. And if you don't do that, sometimes some people tend to draw the shoulders and they don't pay attention to the back, and you end up looking like, I don't know, it looks a bit weird because they don't have that back structure to it. Always remember that. Now for this one, I'm going to have him holding a sword, so I'm going to say another sausage shape here, and that. As if he's kind of just sliced it, I'm guessing. Another sausage here for this bit. Stuck with there, you know, in the middle bit of like the elbow go. And it's all very basic at the moment. I'm going to have a sword. Come on here, like you just sliced it. Going that way. And that. And now here, I'm going to have this arm. And now, you tend to find with a lot of these old school kind of, you know, images that the hands are always doing something interesting. You know, it's very rare that they'll just be in a very kind of human kind of pose. You know, it'll always be twisted or bent, so it looks very different, you know, and kind of decorative. And that's pretty much what this style is. This style is all about, you know, more decoration than anything. You know, it's not supposed to be realistic, it's just kind of supposed to look good. So this one, the arm's going to come here, come across here. And this hand, I'm going to have him doing some kind of pose with his fingers, you know, kind of like, yo, kind of thing. And that. Now remember, the hand you want fairly big, not overly big, you know. If you imagine, now if you sort of close your fist and you put it on your face, you sort of like, you know, your hand is pretty much from roughly, you know, your fist, from about your nose to about your chin. So you roughly want about that kind of circle shape for the fist, and the fingers extended off that. Now, like I said, I like mine to have like that big kind of gut bit. So in the background, just so it kind of goes underneath where the shoulder bits are, a big circle, much bigger than the head, almost the width of the shoulders. You can go wider if you want. This one I'm just going to have that because a lot of this isn't going to be seen too much. And that. And now this leg's going to be kind of coming out here and kind of bent, where he's just sliced. And this one is kind of down to his knee, I guess. So I've got this leg coming out this way, so I've got a line this way, and a bend. There's no bit of detail, that's just like, you know, the way his leg is going. And now remember, this isn't exactly human anatomy. You know, sometimes in these kind of pictures, they can bend and twist in ways we can't. And as long as it looks good, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. You know, that's one thing that's kind of cool about this. It gives you the freedom to play around, you know, you make the body the way you want it to be. And now this knee bit, it's coming here, it's coming down, you see. So like, you know, his leg's like this direction. And this is where his knee is. So I'm going to stop it here. You know, you might get a bit of foot here, bit of sandal, and maybe a bit of foot over this way. And now I'm not going to go into too much detail on that because I'm going to make that up as I go along. Now I know it sort of sounds a bit ridiculous, but yeah, I'm going to make it up as I go along. You know, with these kind of designs, you need the freedom to just play with it. You know, you can't always be plotted out with everything. You know, just make it up as you go along. That's sometimes the best way to do it. Now for this one, it's going to have a little bit of a cape, I think. You know, I want something going on in this background bit here. And that, now, when it comes to like clothing, you know, it has like a bit of a curve, but very sharp and very kind of pointy sometimes. So this one I'm going to kind of make this kind of sharp, kind of pointy pattern bit. Always kind of start from the back. And it's not exactly a cape, it's more like a drape that's going to come from his like armour and that, but you'll see, you get the idea of it. Now his helmet, and that, I'm going to give him like one of the kind of samurai ones, so it's going to, yeah, I'm going to do like the horn version. You know, you get like the two bits here. So two kind of spike bits coming off the hat. And that, you want the hat base to go a bit higher than what you sketched the head out to be. And that, and now here, I'm going to add these curved bits. Now it's kind of hard to sort of teach these, but if you imagine like a pill, and now if this was straight and you kind of rolled it back up, you always get this kind of rolled up bit on the helmet, around the front. Get the same thing kind of on this part. And now you don't have to do this if it's a bit hard trying to work out the exact dimension of that, but it's always a cool skull bit, you know, helmet shape. And I do like a rectangle bit around the outside. It's like a bit coming off the cheeks. Now that'd be roughly where that goes. Shoulder there. Looking at it now, I'm going to make that gut just a touch bit bigger. Now, just look at it and try, if you can, look at it and kind of blur your eyes a little bit when you look at it. And just see if it kind of looks the way you want. You know, sometimes when it's kind of sketched like this, you can't really see what's going on. Just blur your eyes just a touch and you tend to better see it a bit clearer. And that, but now we got that, I'm just going to go straight into pen. So any little mistakes, no moaning. Okay, I'm just going straight into this. You know, it takes too long for me to teach if I've got to teach every little bit by bit. So I'm pretty good at making things up as I go along. Now I'm going to start with the nose like I generally do with most faces. Now the nose has to be quite wide, and if you do like a really kind of thin nose, you know, it's not going to look oriental enough, you know, for this old kind of style. And that, you know, and these styles, they kind of really go dramatic, you know, with the nose sizes. And that. So I'm going to start off with like a little bit of a thin pen. This one's just like a, this is a 1 or 0, this is 0.1. But just generally like a thin kind of liner. Now I'm going to start with like a nice curve. And I remember it's looking this direction. So I want the nose coming from this way. So the nose curves. Comes back. Just going to flick it a little bit like that. See, now it's quite a dramatic kind of curve to that. And now, yeah, I'm going to have the nostril root coming off of this a bit, so it's going to come back and I'm going to flick a little bit, so you kind of have like a little nostril shape. And that, then just follow a bigger line around that. And that, so if you imagine that being kind of a little block, and that you want your circle to go wide around it. And now, you know, let that sort of nostril shape show you where the curve goes. And that. Another one on this side. This one's curving up. It's going to be quite dramatic, this little flick down I do. Now you don't have to do that. I like to do that because it's showing him as being angry. You know, the more the nostrils flare downwards, the more angry the person generally tends to be. And that. Now from here I'm going to do the eye. And now for the eyes, what I like to do in that, you know, you can do like, you know, the squinty eyes and that, you know, like, you know, some like really typical ones, you know, it's just, to me, the whole squinty eye thing, like the old traditional paintings, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, that happens more than it actually does. And that, you know, you don't have to make squinty eyes to make it look sort of like, you know, oriental, you know, you can do quite big eyes with it, you know, I mean, look at anime style, very big eyes, and yet it still has that oriental feel. Now for this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the bottom bit of the eye. Now first, I'm going to come up, going to bend down, come round. And now this I'm going to make very quite round, and I want it quite open because I want him looking really fierce, like he's really staring at what he's looking at. And I think I might put a little demon or something down there. Just do two curves as if it was like a complete ball shape. And that. And then on top, I'm going to have this little kind of curve bit here going down. On your eyebrow. Coming back up. Then curving away. Now to me, this is the trick to making Asian eyes, is the eyelid, the way it curves at the end. And now if it curves down, you know, sometimes it just doesn't look right. But you put that nice little flick, you know, and instantly it kind of has that oriental kind of feel to it. As long as you put the right kind of, you know, other features with the face. And that little pupil in there, not going to do a massive pupil. And for some reason I find the little pupil, just a little bit around it, with a wide eye, makes him look very angry. And now the other side is quite similar. And just slightly varying. Just a little line there. Now this line's going to come down, flick up a little bit. So if you're just doing that bit, it's at a slight angle, so you're going to see it slightly different. Curving out, and again flicking outwards. Curving there, curving up, around. Now you want this ball to be a bit more short than the other one because the angle of the face is. And that, you know, you don't do too much, just literally just a tiny bit. And what that does, that just helps you tell the position of it. You know, and the kind of the way it exists there. Now this mouth, I'm going to do very kind of, you know, kind of grumpy. Now to do that, simple. I'm going to curve up, I'm going to curve down. I'm going to bring in these two little curve bits just on the side. So the bottom lip looks like it's going right over. I'm going to do a little line underneath, just mimicking that line, but not touching the edges. Now at the moment, it looks a bit kind of silly. But once you add the moustache, the old-fashioned crazy moustache, it makes sense. Now for this one I'm going to have a kind of flick out, I think. Yeah. Let's make this one flick out, shall we? And it's going to come from under the nostril. I'm not going to have it touch in the centre. I want quite a big gap. You know, so it's coming off the side. And that. Now this can be any kind of way you want, you know. Think of like a really kind of crazy moustache or beard thing in your head. And just have it go and see if you can create it. So there. We got that. Now this one, should have a bit of beard. Shall I make a beard come all the way around or goatee? I'll make it all kind of come way around, I think. And that, so you're not going to see too much. I'm going to just look little lines, very close together, just going around that jaw shape. So as you can see with the moustache, I just done a thick line to show the shape of it, and when you get to the end, just do a few lines going that direction. Once you shade it in, you won't see that. You know, but you don't want it to come in like solid at the back, you know, the ends. If it's solid at the ends, it kind of just ruins it. I'm going to do a little bit of detail under the eye here. I'm just going to put a little line just there, a little curve just there. Now you don't have to, it's just one of the things I like to do. Now the cheekbone, I like to come up wide. I like this to kind of work with the face shape. So when it comes out here, you bring a lump out for that lower eyelid bit, bring it around the eye, bring it around the eye shape, and again around the eyebrow. You got a lot of shape on that side of the face, especially if you're doing like one of these kind of crazy old, you know, sort of fashion samurais. And that. And I'm going to do the eyebrows very similar to how I've done the moustache. Quite close to the eyelid. And just flicking out. Now I'm not going to do the top line because the top line is kind of going to go underneath that helmet bit. But what I'm going to quickly do is sketching this bottom bit of the beard now. Now I want this beard kind of going in this direction. As if the wind's kind of blowing it this way a bit. So what I'm doing, I'm just building up these lines, fairly long, generally going in that kind of direction. Just building up this shape of the beard. I'm going to have this join up to the side bit there. I'm going to do this going the other way as well. Don't have to be too neat with this because once you put in, like, you know, the black, you're not going to notice that too much. And that. And what I'm going to quickly show you at this point is a little bit of line width that I like to do. And I'm going to switch up now. This one was like a 0.1. I'm going to switch up to a 0.8 pen. And now you can use the same pen and just sticking up some lines if you want. You know, you don't necessarily have to go thicker. But I like to make different line widths to sort of show a bit of 3Dness. So I like to say the bottom of the nose. The bottom of the nose stands out from the face. So I'm going to get a sticker line. And just go around the bottom bit of that line. And then flick it out. Bottom bit of that nostril. Just around that top eyelid. Just bits I want to make stand out further than the rest. Now the main things for this are just, like I said, bits you want to stand out, or bits that are in front. And that, so if you was doing like the helmet bit here, I'd do this line thicker, and what this will do will make this part of the face stand further up to the back bit. It's a simple technique, but trust me, it really, really does work. Now here you're going to have like a little bit of a cap, so just bring in like a little kind of, you know, 2 lines that follow that face shape just there. Real simple. Just like that, just across. And now, then work your horns so they kind of fit. Now you can do really kind of decorative shapes. I'm going to keep this one quite simple. Now have it go here, curve in, curve out, come down. Now I think the key to this is always like customization. Because it's not realistic, you know, if you want to make it your own, you've got to try and make your own little pattern. So when you do this horn, just think of a cool little shape. You know, just get a bit of paper, sketch out a few little ideas on paper. You know, just some random little lines, and see what's cool. Try and make like a cool headpiece out of that. This one, I just made this up simple. But just making this up, you know, already makes it a bit more interesting than just making it a basic, bold shape. You know, I'm all about the personalisation of things. You know, give it your own mark. It's kind of like that for the top of the hat. I'm going to switch back to the 1. I'm just going to do like a little kind of skull shape in here. Now skull, you know, if you imagine like you've got a little upside down kind of love heart shape for the nose, you know, the nose bit. Just bring a little line around that. A little bit of line at the top. You know, you can see my skull tutorials are a basic one. You know, this is quite simple. You know, 2 kind of ball shapes, you know, around where the eyes would be. You know, this is literally just a headpiece, so it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, you could do this really crappy and it still look fine in the design. You know, a lot of these old ornate helmets didn't have ones that looked anywhere near realistic. So just make it however you want to. Like here, you know, giving this one a bit of a shape that doesn't make sense for the top of the skull. Then what I'm going to do around the top of that, some semicircles all the way around. And now to me this is key. This is like another pattern that's just going to make it a bit more oriental to me. And that, because the patterns are what really bring like the oriental stuff to life. There's so many different patterns they used. And that, and I'm going to bring in that curve shape I told you about, the one we sketched in earlier. Just line across there. Bring this in. And there's like a little line bit just as it curves towards the back. I'm going to mimic this line around here. Just there, and I'm going to bring another line, mimicking the other outside line. Just to there. Now on this side, got the same curve again. I'm just going to do the same 2 lines. And that. And then the back here, remember I told you got that kind of rectangle shape, so I'm just going to put that in. I'm going to put a few lines going across. And then a few lines going up in those little gaps. Just like that. Do the same on this side now. Now this one I'm going to bring it so it goes just behind that little kind of flat bit we've done there. Across here. Up there. Just like we sketched in. And a little line there. Just bring in a couple of little lines here. Just a little straps across. So just 2 lines, just pretty much the exact same going across that way. And then bring some up. just there. I'll sketch the rest in a little bit, but you get the idea. And that now, let's go on to the shoulder pads. And I'm going to put a bit of ribbon on from the belt. Now, where your stomach is, I'm going to have like a belt coming around, you know, the centerpiece. Now, to me, belt's a big feature. You know, as a key part of, like, you know, any kind of Asian kind of clothing back then. You know, it was a big kind of warrior thing. Well, pretty much everything, you know, because of the kind of robes and that they wore, they actually always come with a belt. So what I'm doing here is just imagine some sort of like stringy bits coming off. And I'm just making some random lines and bringing another line pretty much the same width as it. And that. And have one coming here. And one coming over this shoulder, I think. Just make it interesting. So the more that's going on, the more busier it is, the more fun it is, I think. Yeah, like that. So, yeah, I think I'll sketch in this shoulder pad first so I can make this get underneath the hand. And that. Now this shoulder pad, I'm going to make curve like this, curve like that. So almost like an S shape. And then bring a bigger S, curving in and curving around there. Now you can make the traditional ones where it comes off in a straight line, like a rectangle if you want. You know, I might do one just like there, just above it. But I like to do this and make a little pattern behind it. Now, so if I grab a slightly bigger pen, just going to put the outlines of that in. Can go there. Can go there. Now what I'm just doing here, just flicking up little outlines that, you know, I want to make stand out. So like I said, this helmet bit is in front, so I'm just making this line stand out bold. This line goes in front of that one, so voila, there you go. Just like that. And then again, get this line here. Now done that, I'm just going to put this little kind of curve shape, just going around this. It's just the same kind of curve, just going all the way across. And this will just give this the feeling of being circular in shape. See? Simple. Now I will be putting a pattern on there, but I'm not going to do that just yet. Now this one, I want this kind of little bit of cloth coming out. I don't know why I sketched it in and I think it looks pretty cool. So I'm just going to go here and I'm just going to sketch just a crazy zigzaggy line. Just like that. And this line there. And this bit will go around the arm. And that's, so I'm just going to bring in a thicker line. Just around the edge of that. I'm going to go, yeah, start off as it goes towards here, because this bit's going to be above the arm, so I suppose I can make this one thicker. Just going to flick some little lines off of those bend bits, just so there's a reason for all those bends. Quite a few of these little bits black solid. You know, it's just like fabric. You know, when it bends, you know, it leaves this kind of shape behind it. So there we have some sort of crazy little fabric brick there. Just adds it like another little layer of interest to it. Now you got here. And now I'm going to sketch the forearm bit here before I go back into this. And now I like this to be quite blocky. You know, if you put like a gauntlet on, I like it to be quite blocky. And that's what I'm having here. Gauntlet bit. I'm just going into like an elbow part. I'm going to have just kind of square bit. Right, I'm coming off the side. And that. And now inside I'm going to have a little pattern bit. I'm going to have a little curve there, coming this way. And have the exact same kind of on the other side, I think. Now, just so my little pattern I made up. You know, I mean, a lot of time you want to be parallel or just do like repeated patterns, you know, work really well. I'm going to show a few like repeated patterns in a bit. They can look really good with these kind of designs. And that bit, let's quickly sketch this bit in here. Remember the inside bit I'm going to do with the thinner line. I need another one because I think this pen is running out. So there's a few little lines there. Detail lines. Little line on the outside. Just pretty much mimicking that line. And then, yeah, I'm going to put like a cool pattern in here, I think. For this one, I'm going to do 3 lines across. 1, 2, 3. Actually, because it's quite wide, I'm going to do 4, 5. And then once you do 5 lines coming off it in the other direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just stick to this rule. You know, it doesn't matter if the fit, you know, the pattern doesn't quite work with the shape. Just keep that pattern the exact same going across that bit. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because a lot of time you get that, you know, you might have, like I say, a big sort of like, you know, bit of towel, like really bending and curving. But what they'll do, they'll have the exact pattern going the exact same way through it. And it does give it like a really cool, unique kind of look to it. So again, you got so you got that wooden kind of rectangular bit across there, across there, across there. Yeah, I quite like that. One last big one. Just that place over there. Circle a little bit here, just where it kind of goes around the elbow. And then you got that, you know, the upper arm bit. Now for this one, I think I'm going to put like a kind of like fabric, so it's going to come here. I'm going to have like a band around the middle bit. So you're going to have these like kind of little kind of squiggly lines coming off this band. And just like some crazy lines coming up from here. Around the outside you want to kind of bend it outwards and then in towards what you know the tie bit is. And just to give it some shape. I know a few little bit of kanji in that, you know, but a lot of time you see like some sort of kind of writing on it. But I'm not going to put it down just in case I do spell it slightly wrong. I'm very amateur in my Japanese writing, so I try to avoid it. Japanese, Chinese, any kind of ones. Kanji, Mandarin. I'm not overly good at it, I just know a few little words here and there. Let's bring in that little band bit. A couple of circles where the knot is. And just have like a little bit of string kind of coming off here, I think. You got to remember, just because he's a samurai doesn't mean he's going to be armoured from head to toe. You know, bits of armour here and there, to me, always work better. You know, have some clothes showing, have some cloth, have some metal, have some like, you know, little sigil bits, you know, just play around with it. So see there, just a bunch of like crazy lines coming off. You know, like up, down, like kind of V shapes, lines with flicks. You know, you want to keep it quite strict, you know, quite straight, just with a bit of bend to it. And that. Then I'm going to bring this like, you know, belly button I told you about. And now the belly is very kind of, you know, round, you know, in shape. But when it gets here, I like to make mine almost kind of V to the centre. You know, it's almost like a stomach guard. Draw a line up the centre, come to the top, so you know where that bend in the metal armour bit is. Just there. Now this one, I like to have, like, you know, if you imagine like where the fabric trousers are, when they come above the belt, you get like this bit that kind of bumps up. But I like to make it more a shape. I learned this from watching like Hiroshi designs. You know, I'm quite a big fan of Hiroshi. And just to me, it just always looked good. It was just like one of those things I sort of saw and it's like, you know, that just works so well. And I mean, I haven't stole it, but I've kind of adapted it into my kind of style. But the kind of shape of it, you know, I suppose I learned from him. Not personally, but through books and studying the people. You know, it's always good looking at other artists and that, seeing what they're doing, sort of seeing things and think, oh, it looks really good. You know, I wonder if I could do something similar to that. You know, but make it my own. You know, not exactly copy, but you know, twist it your own way. You know, and that's pretty much how art is always developed. You think about it. You know, you got all these art movements and stuff, and it was just people thinking of how they could do things their own way. They're all kind of similar, and they're all kind of based off each other. So yeah, I'm just bringing in that little thick outline around the outside bit there. So see here, I just done like a curve going up, brought it into the middle, so it dipped, and come back across. And that very simple shape, and I've done the same thing going there. Now I stopped it here because obviously this armour's going underneath this bit. I'm going to bring this up around that stomach guard bit I told you about, just there. And now I'm going to want a little bit of kind of chest armour here, I think. And that's, so I'm going to have a bit piece, sort of, you know, centre sort of line through the chest. And I suppose you could have something ornate there, but you know, I'm not going to have too much ornate because he's got a big beard in the way. And that, I suppose working here with the elbow shape. So just drawing a few little kind of pattern shapes in that, but kind of keep it kind of strict so you can tell it's not fabric. Now you've got to remember, a lot of this I'm going to be making patterns on and stuff once I get towards the end. I'm going to show you a few patterns and put them in all at the ends. You know, because it just takes too long for me to show you all the patterns right now as I go along. And that now, I'm going to quickly go back to the helmet because as usual I'm skipping bits. And that, but yeah, the top of the helmet, where that rectangular bit comes in, join that. I'm going to make this one quite simple, so it's quite a round shape. Around the top. Now when you get to the top bit, you're going to make like a little kind of donut shape. Little ring off the top of that, another ring off the top of that. Two little lines. And shoot up. There's this kind of little ornamental piece on top. Yeah, like that. And that's got a little thick outline just around the edge. Not on the inside. Just the edge. Yeah, just like that. So you got that top helmet bit. Right. Yeah, now before I sort of do the rest, now I'm going to do the belt bit now. Now just do like a little kind of bundle bit, or you know, you can do like a little, you know, belt buckle thing, you know, like a bird's head or some kind of ornamental design here. For this one I'm going to keep it quite simple, as it really is just basically like a fabric kind of belt. And have all my twisty bits coming off. Now to do this, just scrumple up some lines. You want it to be kind of rectangular in shape, but let's just say start from the middle, do a line down, come across, up like a V shape. So down, there, up, down. And that's a nice little shape. And then just start breaking off of that line. So where this line goes up, start a little bit higher, come down again, curve up, across, have a line going down. Now the gist is we want to have this kind of curve shape, you know, like this. And that. So each line we want to have kind of curve in that kind of way. And that will kind of tell that story, you know, how the shape goes. And the pattern just works its way there. So there you see, just a bunch of like random little scribbly bits. I've got a nice little belt buckle bit. Now here I'm just going to basically just draw a line, quite squiggly. You see I go there and I'll turn up, and quite sharply I turn here and back. And this bit's going to go underneath that cape. What I'm going to do now is draw another line. Now going quite similar in shape to it, but once we get to a certain point I'm going to have it touch that line. See, just like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another line coming off of that, from a bit higher, coming back, touching there. So if you imagine this is 3 lines, 1, 2, 3, and as it's where they touched here, you're going to do a line coming from further down now, following up, curving here to that centre bit, then another line coming off of that one. And now if you've done this rightly, you'll see what we have done is made the twist. See how this fabric has gone here, and now it's twisted, and we've seen the other side of it. Do the same thing, and now it's come around this side. Bring that one around there. See there? And across. Now just keep doing that, you know, once you reach that bend, make it go into the bend, and then start from the other side. There's one very simple way to twist fabric. Now, I know a lot of you probably knew that, but some of you don't, so I'm trying to help everyone out here. So this one go up again, it's going to go here, this one's going to come out quite wide and come back in sharply. So I'm just applying that same method. Forgive me if I'm being a bit messy, I'm just trying to rush through this a bit. You shouldn't rush, but if I don't rush slightly, I could be here hours teaching you this, and it's a bit hardcore going for you guys, for you guys and for me. Now this one I'm making an exception. See, I'll stop before the bend. I'm going to make this bend around it now. Now this one's much harder technique, because if you don't bend it in the right place, it can look like it hasn't bent at all sometimes. But yeah, that's kind of gone there. And now I'm just going to sketch in that back fabric bit I told you about. You know, the bit coming off his back. So it's going to bring a line here. Just line off this bit. So I'm just making like, you know, as if it's got folds in it. See, like here, it's gone out, it's got a bit of a fold. And that. And that's going to go up, down, up, down. I'm going to have it twist a bit there, I think. So imagine this line's going to come in down this way and this way. And what I'm literally doing, I'm just making these zigzag points. And when it comes to a point, I'm just bringing that into a shape. You see? It looks cool and there's nothing too complicated about it. A little bit of curve here and there. Just like that, you see? And now it's like a little bit of a side cape, you know, just coming off his back. And now we can go to the hand. Now, bear with me one sec, people. Right, where was we? Yeah, so we've just done the back cape bit. Just join up this little line bit now. D. You might have a flick off into the back, I think. Should imagine it coming here, across there. Now, very similar to like the moustache, I'm just doing the lines, flicking them out. A little bend bit there. Just flip line on the outside, so it's kind of flared at the end. And the other one kind of goes the same kind of way, so I'm going to have that. I'm not fairly straight, this one, just to change it up. just like that. And that, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the hand. Now the hand, like I said, you know, it's done very differently. It's done like not humanly. So this one, I'm going to have a little curve. Going to bring like a curve around here. And it's going to be kind of going like this. So the wrist is going to unrealistically bend up. Curve here. And now his fingers I'm going to have coming up fairly straight. Kind of curly kind of point to the edge there. And now these ones, the other two, I have a line coming up, coming across hard, down on the curl. So I mean, it's not like a realistic hand shape, but that's kind of what makes that kind of Asian style, you know, that old-fashioned oriental style. You know, it's not the realism, it's the style, it's the techniques. And there's plenty of ways doing hands. This is just one of the ways I like to do it, kind of, almost kind of like my signature way. So I said those lines there, I got in the middle. Just do line bits. A little curve on the edge, just where the thumb would be. And I'm going to do a little line, just 2 lines, just across the middle bit there. Just a little line at the top where the fingernails would be. And do next. Right, I'm just going to put this line a bit thicker here. Where that arm also kind of overlaps a little bit from the shoulders. And then again, I'm just going to bring in this so this rope. I'm going to have this rope going underneath this arm, I think. And I'm going to add this one. I'm going to have a bit of muscle showing, I think. It's going to have a bit of a gauntlet here on his hand, a bit kind of like a ninja kind of glove, I think. Now, like a little square bit here around the front bit of the hand, a little kind of triangular bit to go over the thumb, do a blocky bit, very similar to how we've done this bit, do this kind of the same, and that, but once it gets here, I'm going to turn this bit into a muscle, I think. And now you got to remember, muscle is very different in Chinese and Asian old style art, because it is just about adding funny line after funny line sometimes. So like here, you know, I just pull this bit here, comes here, this line that I suppose you could say to make up the elbow, but for some reason I'm going to curve it and bring a curve around the outside, bring another line there, flick that bit back, and then just bring in some kind of muscle line. So like this here, I'm going to bring this here, just to kind of show a bit of muscle kind of shape here, and that. I'm going to bring another one just here, just one over here. All about the lines when it comes to Asian muscle. And that, see, I mean, I suppose it kind of looks a bit kind of I suppose I've done it a little bit too realistic, I guess, sometimes. But yeah, a little line in there just to make it look right. And that. And this is going to come up here. You got this bit of fabric I've got to come around this arm. Yeah, I quite like that, this bit. I'm going to have that little bit kind of, you know, that armour we had got here. So if you imagine this went here, it's going to curve up around this shoulder. And a little bit of rectangular bit here to make this bit on this side. Not necessarily a necessity, but I quite like that. So yeah, I'm going to put a plot in. So I mean, you basically want to tell like the story of the arm. So you like, you know, you got the forearm curve here, then you got the elbow. I'm going to bring on a nice curve. So you basically want to make a curve for the elbow. And when you get to the upper arm, you just want to bring it out a bit, and then curve it back in. Add a few little curvy flicks. Then on the inside, just add some kind of curvy lines on the inside that just make it a bit bumpy and bulky. You know, don't try to think exactly. Say, oh, you know, there's actually really is a muscle here, and that, 'cause that isn't what it's about. Just make some lines that look good. And that, and I'm gonna bring around a bit of fabric. Just bend that there. I know I kind of broke the rules there because I used the thicker line the way through the arm, but it's because I want that arm to really stand out, that muscle to really kind of bulge out. You know, kind of think of it as like a bit of personality for this guy. You know, he's kitted up, he's you know, he's sort of dangerous looking in all his armour and that, but he's also really tough underneath as well. You know, we're making a character here, not just a samurai. You know, we want a guy to have a bit of personality. You know, think of some old-fashioned warrior. What kind of story could you tell through like making him? You know, you could have like a little scar here or there if you sort of think about him being in a certain battle. You know, it's just like character designing. You know, like if you was doing it for like any other kind of drawing. You know, if you was making up a little character, tell a story for your guy. You know? If he's crazy, give him some crazy eyes. If he's like really intelligent and calm, make him calm. Same pattern across here, I think. Yeah. What I'm going to do, see we've got the pattern on this bit, I'm going to make it so it's exactly the same. So it's going to even out the exact same direction. And that. And what that does, it creates this cool little layer effect. You know, and it kind of makes everything kind of joined in a kind of patterned way. So just carry on with that same thing you was doing with, like, you know, an umbrella lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I like that. Let's go. Sorry guys, a bit tired here. It's pretty late at night. Too many late night sessions. So yeah, what I was gonna do now. Right. Yeah. Right, yeah, put it there and just kind of this belt kind of bit wrap around here, I think. Now this belt wrap's going to be a really simple wrap. And that's so imagine this line, we just close this line off. And when it comes around the waist, it's going to bring a line like that. Line underneath, maybe a little line underneath. Just so it's kind of, you know, a bit folded as it kind of bends around him. And that. Right, so we've got that. Now we're going to do the hand and get this sword going, I think. And that should make it, yeah, I'm going to make like a big kind of samurai kind of Manasumi sword. So pretty much just doing like a rectangle bit for the back. You know, it's like, you know, just the hilt, rabbit holding it. You know, his thumb, you got to remember now, the hand isn't supposed to be like realistic, it's just making them kind of look fancy. So you want to give him some nice kind of curves and just kind of work in the hand shape. You know, so I've got like a little bend here, just coming out from like the thumb joint, and the curve just to show that, you know, there is a thumb bending around it. Just a line across there, and that to sort of show, you know, the curve of the inside of your hand. Only simple, just a really simple curve for that. And then I think a couple of sort of like lines outwards, getting almost like that to show the other fingers gripping it. Now you've managed, you've got the hilt going through there, so you're going to have to follow this line coming through. And to finish in there. You can make the sword really fancy. This one I'm going to keep quite basic. So I'm just going to put like a basic kind of little block bit there for the edge, where we're holding it. And then the blade will come across here. Across something like that, I think. So it will do. It's almost going to be dead straight, so I'm going to grab me a ruler, which I don't often use, hence the reason I cannot find the bloody ruler. Where did I put my last one? Screw it. If like me and you cannot find your ruler, just grab anything that's got a straight edge, and yeah, I'm just going to put in a straight line on one side of the blade. Oh, it's fairly straight. Yeah, I do. Just like that. You sketch it, and I'm pretty good at doing straight lines anyway, but I'm just... You want to practice doing straight lines for other stuff, but when you're doing this, using a ruler, there's no harm in using it. Oops. Okay, put in that. I'm just going to go over the hand in pen. Now what I do a lot of times is, if it's like the fingers, I bring the line outwards and then I flick and let it go so the line goes thinner. And to me it just gives it a cool look. You know, sometimes that's better than like doing a really kind of solid, bold, to the point line. You know, have it flick so the line basically turns into nothing at the end. I'm just going to do like a little pattern for this one. Line that way, line that way, line that way, line that way. Just bring like one line sort of to the middle, bring another one from the other side, and just keep doing that and just overlapping them in turn. So do one across, then one come the other way, one across, overlapping that one overlapping there, that. It's just another repeated pattern that always looks pretty good. That's one I use. You don't often see that in traditional old-fashioned, like, you know, Japanese illustrations and oriental style ones. But any kind of repeat pattern I think works with it, you know, just find the ones you like, you know, and do that. You know, you don't have to do a pattern just because it's the way people traditionally done it, you know. If you like something, go ahead and do it. There you go. Just going to bring in a bit of the belt, come off of this side. And this one come in here. Okay, that's going to go like as if it goes behind him now. So bring the bottom one. in the middle line. And I haven't done this bit yet because this is where I'm going to do, like, you know, the trouser bottoms. Now, like I said, you know, my trouser bottoms are going to be kind of cargo-ish. And then it's going to go up to roughly around where his knee is. So you see when it goes here, it's going to end here, and you're going to see a bit of the boot coming off the back. And when you see here, you're going to get quite a bit of boot. You know, the boot's going to be kind of armoured up. But for now, just going to bring this line down, flick it in, just bring the line up, bring it back, so you create like a quite long V shape. Now the V shape's good, especially with fabrics, because it always makes it look like, you know, like a kind of fabric kind of bend. Bring this up, flick that in. A few little detail lines. There's one coming down here, I think. Just like that. And that kind of shows the trouser bit. Bring a line around the outside. End it there because I need to do the other bit of sword now, as the sword's over the top. So I'm going to bring this line, curve that. Yeah, I'm going to do this one so it's kind of like, you know, kind of katana. So it's, imagine it's like two kind of straightish lines, and then at the top kind of just like very slantly comes off. So if you imagine you had a rectangle and you kind of cut a top bit off, you know, kind of a right angle, well, a 45-degree angle. That's the kind of line you want at the edge. And down the middle, I'm going to do a kind of wiggly line. I kind of like doing a wiggly line now, because if you look at the really old-fashioned swords, the way that it was kind of filed down, it didn't often leave a dead perfect line down the centre of the sword. It always gave this kind of jaggedy, you know, kind of look. And I've always quite liked that. So whenever I do my kind of swords, I always like to put a jaggedy line down the middle. Now, because these pants are quite baggy, I'm just bringing like a line across there. It's going to join up to this bit. You know, I'm not making it go all the way out to the crotch. You know, I'm making like a pair of sort of jeans or something like that. You know, the fabric kind of flows over the top. Now, if you wanted, what you could do here, you could have like a sort of metal plate coming down from the bit, from the belt, and then making some arm pieces around there. For this one, I'm not doing that. That's just through choice. You know, it's the way I'm looking at this character. I don't want him to have that. Thicken up that line a little bit. And that then, yeah, so this one goes over here, and remember I had the knee bit coming at the outside here. So I'm going to bring this across. I'm going to curve the knee shape. Like I said, this, you know, it's just going to kind of tuck into the boot, so I'm going to have it kind of come to a stop and have like some bits flicking up and down from it. So you can see creases where it's kind of tucking into the boot. Yeah, that'll do for the outside bit, I think. And now the boots, there are a number of ways in that, you know, you just want to make the right kind of shape. So if you imagine you've got kind of calf muscle, so you want the top bit of the boot being a bit wider and slowly bending as you get towards the ankle. So you want the ankle to sort of face outwards. And that. And now you could leave like, you could leave sandy ones if you wanted, you know. For this one I'm putting like some like proper armoured kind of boots. And I'm going to have the toe bit kind of come up a bit. You know, to me it kind of just looks right with this kind of style when you've got the toe kind of poking up a bit. I'm going to have these armour plates going up. So I'm going to have like kind of almost kind of diamond shapes. Just repeating as they go up. Just like that. No. there. And I just kind of show like the foot shape. So I've got this one coming down this way, and then a line across just that way. And then I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to have a pattern bit coming up the top bit here in the centre. Now for the bottom of the boot, I'll just bring like a pattern shape, similar to what I've done in the arm bit here. So bring that in, bring that out, bring that around. Yeah, quite like that. And then one from the inside. Now a lot of people, I know a lot of people struggle with this when you got a foot at an angle like this. Now what you want to do is you bring like a little curve like this. Right. Because if you imagine with the toes, you know you want like a bend in the toes, so you want the bottom of the foot bit, so you bring a line across where you want the foot to be kind of sitting, touching the floor. You want a line bit to come up to show like, you know, the kind of bend bit with the toes, and then you want to bring the line upwards, and that's like the bottom bit of the foot, you know, where your foot would normally be touching the ground. As you get around here, this is where the ankle would be, and you bring that back. You can put a little curve here just to show that the foot is bending. And what I've done here, just put a little line at the bottom, a little bit there, and that kind of shows where the toe bit places. And that now, obviously it isn't realistic because this style it isn't, but if you was doing a realistic one, it's quite similar. You know, I'll try and show you in another video exactly how to do the realistic kind of version, but it's the same kind of structure. You know, you want the foot to really kind of bend at that point. You know, if you make it too stiff, it doesn't look right. So I'll do that, and I'm just going to bring this little pattern bit, you know, similar to what we've done on the other side. So a little flick there, coming inwards. And just go around the outside with a pin. Now I'm just going with a pen a bit lightly to make it a bit thinner, like, you know, like the other thin lines. You can get the same effect if you just press lightly. It would depend sometimes. But I suppose it depends what pen you're using, really. Just want to get some thin line details. I've done it too bold. So you can see I'm just leaving like a little kind of parallel line at the bottom, so you're going to have like a little sole to it. Line up at the back. On here just to show the bend. And that generally covers it if you know that part of the foot. Now here at the bottom is going to have like a little bit of extra material, kind of segues coming down the back of the leg, just across there. Now I've got the trousers done, I can fill in the rest of the bit of the belt. So that's just going to come around there, come there, there. And I have this one coming up. Just across that way, I think. You know, you can always just put this out in pencil first, you know, just find the nice kind of shape you like. I'll show you another thing I've just done here. What I've done is done a almost semi-bend. So I brought it in thin here, but I haven't twisted it. It's like where it was almost twisting and then it's gone back round the normal way again. Now you don't always have to add a full-on twist. Brings that one out. Go in some direction, just off over here, I think. There's another example of that semi-bend. There you go. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for the basic outline of a samurai. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some pattern bits. Show you some pretty cool little patterns you can do. And now remember here I showed you on the bit of the helmet, we just done like 2 lines across and then done some straight lines up. Basic as basic can get, but it looks good. Especially for armour, this one. And then we've got other sort of little pattern ones. Let's see if which other one could I show you here. Yeah, I'll show you one of my favourites though. I'll tell you, this one's more for a fabric though. So I'm going to do it on this fabric over here. And that. You bring in a curved shape, like a little spiral. Just like that. When you get to the edge of it, bring that spiral, turn out the other way. And you just keep adding these, spiraling out. Trying to keep roughly the same distance apart, you know, you don't want to get them too close. But you just keep bending one way and the other one the other way. And then what you need to do, what I like to do, which gives you know, a really kind of cool pattern look, is just do little lines on the inside of each spiral. Just going all the way around. When you get 2 bits like this, when 2 bits meet, I generally go with the longest side. You know, I wouldn't say put both spikes on both sides. So if you have 2 bits that are kind of meeting, just choose one which you want to show off more. And you can always start another line off. So I'm going to start another line there. Just keep folding this around. Pretty much until I cover this whole area here. That's what I'm thinking. So as you can see, I've just done that on all this bit. This bit here turns over as you get to you see. So I've not done it on this side. What I'm going to do is bring a thinner line, going parallel with the outline. Just like that. Down this edge. There. And on this bit I'm going to do a different pattern. Ooh, nose. Now for this one I'm going to do, I call this, you know, the X squared. And now what you want to do, bring in a line with X's, just like this, just very long X's, crossing and joining up, just like that. Then when each line comes down, you want to bring the line down. Bring a little line up. And then where all those lines are, you want to do another line of X's. So they join up on those points. Now you can see the pattern. Once you've done 2, you'll see the pattern. And you just want to repeat that same process until we get to the top. Just up to the top. And now the shoulder pads, I'm going to do the same bit of armour as what I've done on that bit of helmet. So where I got that line across, to another line, then just do lines going straight up to it. And now I can make the shoulder pads. Now I like to have certain patterns repeat themselves through certain bits. So what I'm going to do is I can do a little bit line around here. This is that bit, you know, where the bottom trousers overturns around the wide stomach bit we done. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the same kind of curl pattern going through this. Just there. I'm going to show you another one. This one, that was a bit complicated to try and teach. Do another little simple one there, you know, just on the inside belly bit, you know, the arm bit in the middle. Just want to bring up a little, like, you know, line up, a little bit across, down. And just keep them having going next to each other the whole way across. Just like that. And underneath that bit, you know, we've got that little bit of fabric just underneath the centre bit and the armour bit. I'm just going to have little lines making a circle. So if you imagine a circle shape, but I just made up in little flicks going around in a circle. Then in the middle of that, just going to bring a circle shape. Just keep bringing circle shapes, as if it's kind of spiraling it. Just add a few of these around. And then you got the trousers, you got the itchy nose, well, the belt, and on the belt what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this little pattern there. It's going to be pretty much 4 little diamond shapes, very small, 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom, 2 in the middle. What I might do is I'm going to keep adding them, but trying to keep them facing the exact same direction the whole way through this bit, and roughly around the same distance each time. Now imagine it makes like a square shape. Imagine like an invisible one and being in between each one. So imagine doing one, you're skipping one, then doing another. If I was doing this in colour, I might have these like these in red or something like that. But because it's black and white, I'm not going to add the colour to it. But what I'm going to do in my mind is try to remember the way the bend goes, because I want this one only on one side of this. So you see it goes there, then it bends over. So the bottom bit, I'm not going to have that on. When it comes in, it twists again. See, so this bit, it will be on. I'm trying to keep that, try and keep it the same distance and the same lines if I can. It's not easy, sometimes you've got to break the rules a bit. You see I'm doing the shape and it's got no significance to the bend. No. This is another thing that's quite common in Oriental style art. Another thing that stylises it is patterns within the picture. You know, not having the patterns ruled by the picture. You know, just because the clothes bend or like the picture bends doesn't mean the pattern has to. So you see, I've just done that same pattern throughout the belt bits. Oh, which I quite like. And we've got a pattern through there. Let's do something on the shoulder pad, shall we? Yeah, something on the shoulder pads. Yeah, quite simple, this one. Just do some lines across. Some squares in the middle, or rectangles. I'm going to put some little pan bits in the boots, I think. And for top of this, quite simple, I'm just going to have this line curving over repeatedly. And here, just like semicircles, just overlapping. Same to what you do, like for scales if you're doing a koi fish or a dragon. Just there like that. Doing him, then it's almost a little kind of star diamond shape. Let's just bring a line out, kind of curved, back in, the same on the other side. Just repeat that. Just like that. Just bring the lines around this bit of the foot. Just bring a thin line, just filling in this gap, not touching the edge. So you're just mimicking the outline of each line, but just not touching the edge bit. Just like that. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all the line work done. So now what I'm going to do, just rub out all the pencil work underneath, so I'm left with nothing but the line work. And then we go on to shading. So now that you can see them clearly, what we're going to do now is I'm going to do a little bit of block shading. And now by this is bits I'm going to do like shadows, and I'm going to colour these in pure black. And then I'm going to go into doing like fade outs afterwards. But first off, just like some bold bits, like say, you know, the moustache. I'm going to colour that black up until the bit we've done the flicks. Same with the eyebrows. Same with the beard. Don't worry if the beard looks a bit choppy at the moment, because once we put the grey shading just around the outside, it makes sense. So I'll quickly do that now just so you guys can see what I'm on about. Now I'm using trio markers and flex markers here. You can do the same thing with pencil, you know, the same thing with water paints, you know, I'm just using trio marker and flex markers. You know, it's the same concept, it's just dark and light shading. So if you imagine using dark pencil there, and then get like a light pencil, and you just want to work that around that edge. Just so you can fade it out. Now with these markers you have to be a little careful because they do tend to bleed a bit. So a lot of time what I'm doing is put a little bit on, let it soak in, and make sure it's not going to completely fray lines out. And then put your next bit in if you need it. See that there, just a little bit of a touch and just fades it out just enough for me. And I'm not going to be doing too much fades of the actual pure black into that, but just a few. That's just one example. And yeah, pen I was just using, is that one? Yeah. And now it's the block shading. Now the block shading is basically bits that are underneath. Like, see, we've done this shoulder pad here. See, this is over top this shoulder pad. Now imagine it's been circle shape. So where the shadow drops, it's going to leave like a curved kind of line. I'm going to draw a line in, not overly big. You see it come around here. And now where the shadow drops here, you see it, you get a point of it at the edge. And it bend back up this way. Now it takes a little bit of practice getting the understanding of exactly where shadows stop and where they carry on. But have a little practice in that. If you're worried about putting it straight in, get a bit of tracing paper, put it over the top, and then just sketch with a pencil and just draw what the shadow will look like. And on the tracing paper. So imagine put the paper over the top, draw that in there, and then look at it and think, oh, that looks good, take it off, then put it in. you know, if you're worried about it. I've done this a million times, so I'm not worried about it. I generally know where all the stuff kind of goes. Like here, the hat, you get a bit of shadow just underneath, so I'm going to bring this up, across here, bring this in here. And each time I do these little block areas, I'm just shading them in, pure black. Just like that. Underneath here, where this helmet bit goes. I'm basically going to do this concept everywhere. And everywhere you kind of get a little bit of overlap, like here. Just overlaps there. And just try getting understanding, and just in your head, just try to think, where would the shadow land if that was real? If the light was coming this way, how would it bend? You know, it's not always an exact line underneath. You know, I think that's the big mistake some people make. You know, they think the shadow is just the exact shape, you know, just a bit further down. It's not the case. See, like here, this helmet is round, so where this shadow goes back onto it, you see it goes and bends backwards. Just going to do that on all the little bits there, just underneath. So as you can see, I just put like, you know, the bold black shading bits. And like I said, you know, some of this will take a bit of practice and getting used to. See, like here, we got the hand with the sword. Now you got to imagine, like, you know, the light coming down this way, the way it's going to bend. Like, you know, this line isn't an exact shape of the sword. See, because the leg is kind of curved. So this shadow of the sword will curve around the leg. With a little bit of hand there, kind of curve around the edge. You know, it's all about trying to understand where the curves go. But that's it for the basic, you know, like, you know, bold shading. So now I'm going to grab me. Yeah, I'll start off with this grey, maybe. And I'm going to start off with, you know, fairly light grey. And I'm just going to start working in some shadow areas. Now this shading's a bit more realistic. I mean, no, it's way too light for the start. Bear with me, people. Bear with me. Let's do the ones. There you go, this one should do. Yeah, this one's a little bit darker so you see it a bit better. So yeah, so just a little bit of sort of shadow just kind of around the cheekbone area. Just looking off there. And you basically just want to kind of work with the shape. So we're like got the nostril. Where you got the nostril, I'm just going to work a little shadow on the inside bit. Generally keep it to the bottom of the nostril where the shadow is going to be. Flick it up. Go on that inside bit of the nose, give it a shape. Around the eye. It's important to always put a little bit in the eye, I think. You know, just a bit on the side, just to show the shape of it. And then just around that eye a bit on the outside. It's really working off anywhere that's kind of under. Or any bit you kind of trying to tell the shape with. So do that, I'm just going to get a lighter grey now. Just blend that edge out. Now to blend it out, you literally just get like a lighter grey with these pens and just work over the edge. You know, you can get blenders, but to me blenders aren't as good as just working with lighter shades. So you get yourself a nice, you know, few shades in that and just work with them. Now this bit I want to be quite darker, so I'm going to put quite bold shadow on this. Just like a quite thick kind of greyish. Quite solid. Yeah, like that. And this bit's kind of curved. So I'm doing a shadow. Same on this side. Flicking up for the bottom bit. And a little bit lighter. Once you get to the edge, at the other side, only come down again. So you get this little kind of light shine right through the middle bit, which I really like. See, just like that. And again, I'm going to be quite bold with this because it's armour, I want this armour to be a bit darker. Just like that, I think. Yeah, darker grey as well. So I'm pretty much working with like 3 different kind of grey shades. If you're using a pencil, you can just go darker and lighter with them. Now this one's a Faber-Castell. No, I haven't really tried this one yet. This one's a new of mine. I just want to give it a try. It's a much finer tip. It's a bit more kind of grainy compared to my usual marker colours. Pretty good though. Quite like that. Make these lines across the dark grey. Just leave a little white highlight just across that bottom bit, just so you know where the shadow stops. Yeah, I like that. One of those words, I might just flick a little bit of this in, just like that, and then just blend that out. How easy it is to blend. Yeah, I thought so. Not quite as easy to blend as what the Trio and Flex are together. Still good though. I'll use the light variation. I'm just going to follow the same process pretty much all over the place. You know, just using the dark shades to tell the shape. So just kind of arm a bit darker. The outside bit a little bit lighter. Around here, because this bit is lower down the curve, come flicking round. When you get to the top of the curve, go light and then flick around the outside. Same we've done here on the shine, you see. And this circle bit, I'm just literally just putting a dark strip just through the middle, so you have light on top and bottom. Quite like the way that looks. Aha! I missed out these lines. Let's put little lines here I forgot about. Just underneath the folds on the belt. Just here because the arm comes over it. Like I said, any bit that kind of goes underneath. Just there. Just here. Any bit that's kind of fabric I'm tending to leave a little bit lighter I want the fabric to appear a bit whiter than the rest of his gear. Just flicking from that centre bit of that belly armour. The clothes, a lot of the way down the lines, you know, just want the shadow just coming off of the line underneath it. Come in. So just on this. Right, sorry about that, people. I'm back. Right, where was we? Yeah, just shading off, you know, the basic bits. So just off, like, you know, the top. And now the hand, you know, I want the hand to be fairly shaded, I guess. Like, you know, I want like a little dark tint, but going to light. A lot of white areas. Blending that out. So you see, like there, just like dark at the bottom of the hand, then just fading that out upwards, just on like the inside bit of the fingers. Really quite simple. And now what I'm going to quickly do is I'm just going to add a few little flick black bits. I'm going to show that from. Just certain little areas I want to use black to blend out from. And what this does is just creates like another layer of, like, you know, the shading to it. I'm not going to do too much of this. Just little areas just here and there. Just where I want, like, you know, to be a bit darker, but not bold dark. Like, you know, the block shading we did. Just like, yeah, I just wanted this little bit inside the hand and this bit. Around there. Notice you're just putting in black, going into dark grey, into the light grey. You know, it is all just about kind of layering kind of thing. Now from your dark to your lights. Now this forearm bit again, I'm doing like, you know, I've done a yarmulke above. And it's be quite dark, so I'm just putting like a bold, solid, you know, layer of grey, and just leaving a white highlight just on the outside. See, just like a little white highlight there. And then what I'm going to do on a couple of these strips just to be black. So the two little inside strips. Just going to make black like that. I think I'll do that one on the outside. Just that first one on the outside here. Leave that second one white. And the reason I've done that is because you want to make, you know, certain bits stand out, you know, from dark to light. If everything's light or everything's dark, you're not going to have no major contrast. And, you know, you want contrast. You know, contrast is what really makes it interesting. It's like here, you know, just put the elbow pad, you know, just put the armour. A bit of my really dark grey, quite solidly. But again, what I'm doing is I'm doing it, but not to the edge. If you want to go to the edge, be my guest, but This is just one technique, one kind of style I'm showing you. So you can see already I'm making a clear difference between certain areas. Like by doing that band. Now that band is clearly different from the arm fabric. And that. And a little bit of darker tint just coming in here. We'll just separate that part from the arm. It just starts reinforcing its position. You know, because it's just about trying to create levels. You know, you want things to be above and things to be underneath. And if everything's on the same level, it doesn't quite work, in my opinion. But feel free to prove me wrong. Again, I'm just going to get my slightly kind of medium kind of grey. And what I'm going to do, well, I'm going to actually show you from the black first what I want, because around these muscles, I want these muscles to have like a black bit kind of blending out. So it's going to put a little bit of that black just on the outside of the lines. So the bit you want to stand out, leave it on the inside. So okay, well, I've got this curve, I want this curve to show a muscle bit here. So I put black on the outside, muscle bit here, so black on the outside. Like I said, don't worry because it's being blended out. Now if you use a marker, sometimes you need to put quite a bit. You just want to keep working on that black line with the grey until it blends. And at the second you see it start to blend, you want to stop, because if you don't, you're going to make it bleed too much and the whole thing is just going to be a blur, which you do not want. You know, you want to use the bleed, but you want to control the bleed with markers. And that overusing it just destroys your picture. So just quickly just kind of flicking it over and into it, just until you see the bleed. What you see, stop, then go back to your lighter tint and just work over the edge of the grey. Try to avoid having a repeat going over the black. And now if you put a lot of shade in the face, you generally want to try and put quite a bit of shade on the arm. And now you've got to remember, any kind of skin texture has to kind of be, how'd you put it? It all has to be kind of the same, because you know, if you have different tints, you know, it's not going to look like the same body. You know, if you have like the face is like really heavily shaded and the arms are really light, it's not going to look like, you know, the arm belongs to him. And you don't want that. You want people to look at it and instantly know that is his arm. Now what I've done is I've deliberately made a little mistake here for you guys, so I can show you a quick little way to clean up certain bits. See where the bleed is? See the way the bleed's gone too much over the line here for me. That's because I overworked it there. But what you do, if you get that and you want to fix it up, just give it a sec to dry. Now depending on what paper you're using, it can take, you know, a different amount of time. You know, I'm going to go a bit quicker than I probably should here, because I'm trying to show you guys. But work the line outwards to the edge of where that bleed is, and then fade your line out. Now because where you put the black before, the old line you put has pretty much disappeared. So what you're doing is you're just stretching that line out, so you're cleaning that edge. You want a straight edge here. So you see, and that just instantly cleans up those lines. Just like that. Now again, like I said, you've got to remember, it's not realistic shading when it comes to this style. It's stylized. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep working that same sort of, you know, idea and the same sort of things just across certain key areas. Like for instance, same pen, yeah, and that, yeah, the inside of this belt, but you know the bit where it kind of comes up a little bit on the inside. I'm just going to look at that little dark sort of tone, just from the centre bit, not touching the edge, and blending that out. And I'm going to leave the edge bit white. That way it stands out in contrast against the black. And get me grey. Just blend out that edge. I'm making it quite solid, this section. And if you're afraid you're going to lose part of your pattern, don't worry about that. You know, shadows goes over some of the patterns. If you've done certain areas you sort of really like, you know, don't be afraid to go over them. And that. I know some people that sort of done one bit and they're sort of like, oh, I love the way that looks. And when it comes under the shadow, it's like, oh, you know, there's supposed to be a shadow there, but I'm going to leave it because I like the way it looks. Sometimes it's not always a good idea. You know, you've got to try and just, I guess you kind of just got to try and trust your instincts. But don't be afraid to do something just because of being worried about messing it up. You know, that is like the guaranteed way to fail. You know, never be afraid. Or if you're worried about it, you can always just put a bit of tracing paper over the top, cut it on a tracing paper, and see how it looks. If you like it, take tracing paper off, and then put it into it. No reason you can't do that. And I'm just copying this bit the same way I've done the other gauntlet. Now this black bit I want it to be clearly behind, so like I've done the other bit, so I'm going to get my black, which is, where did black go? I put it down. There it is. Just going to flick some black up just behind the helmet. Back in the grey. Working the light grey just over the edge. Now you want to try and move fairly quick with the markers. You move too slow, you're going to get a lot of bleed. Just flick it in there. Be rough with it. It will just generally set and take care of itself. I'm going to do that the whole way round. For that back cape. So you can see that's pretty much most of the upper body done. It's going to go into the lower body now. Just follow the same principle, just anywhere that's under. Just flicking some grey. Now you've got to remember this leg bit is kind of like fabric, so I don't want it to be too dark. I want the majority of it to be light so it stands out. You know, it's one thing a lot of people don't take into consideration when they're shading. And that sometimes, you know, the colour of something directly relates to the shade. Like if you're shading something that's like a really dark grey or black, like a black t-shirt, obviously you're going to put a lot more shading. But a lot of people need to understand that when it comes to like doing, say, a white t-shirt or white trousers, you have to be a lot more delicate with the way you shade. Like see here, I put in this black little shade bit at the bottom. But what I've done is I've blended it out, but I've stopped it quite swiftly. You know, I haven't dragged it, you know, across a long distance, across the shade a bit. Just going to put in a few little solid black bits. Just putting that solid black, and I was going to put some grey sort of shade. Certain areas. And the key thing here is I want different parts of the boots to be different colours. So I want the shade to kind of tell me those colours. So here, I want this bit to be kind of metallic, or a light outline. So I'll shade up to this black bit and just fade that out. Top of the boots I want to be fairly dark. Just going to go over them with a grey. Get my darker grey. And just put little lines and just leave on the edge. then it's pretty much just a little bit of the sword. Now, but this I'm just going to shade halfway down one side, zigzag, and then halfway up the other side. Just kind of give it a little bit of a metallic look. Don't ask me why, but it just kind of does it when you do that. But yeah, you got that, and then you can always put a little bit of shadow underneath if you want. I'm going to leave them quite solid like this, I think, so he stands out. But yeah, that is how to draw an old-fashioned oriental style samurai. And I hope you like it. I promise there's going to be a lot more tutorials coming soon, and I know I've been slacking a bit lately, but don't worry, there's plenty more coming. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I am the Broken Puppet. Subscribe, like, comment, yada 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 yada, and I will see you next time. Peace out.